Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to our program on Kardec Radio.
Welcome to the messengers in our home.
Hi, Francisca. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another chapter of the messengers in our home. Well, today, as you all know, we're not reading the chapters anymore because we already finished the reading and the comments of the book. But tonight we have a very special guest that we are going to talk to, just like we did last year when we finished the book No Solar, and we're going to do today the same thing with the book The Messengers. So after we finish the reading, after all the comments we made, after all the ideas we had, we're going to have more ideas from this very special friend of ours, and maybe you already know her, with Jussara Korngold. She is from the Spiritist group of New York, and we would like to welcome her once again to Kardec Radio, but especially tonight for the messengers in our home. Welcome, Jussara. How are you doing?
Hi, hello, Mackenzie. How are you doing? Hi, Francisca. It's a pleasure to talk to you again. It's been quite a while. Hello, everyone, and listeners of Kardec Radio.
So, yeah, we when we decided to talk to somebody, right, just like we did last year in No Solar, we were thinking, well, who would we want to talk to? And of course, there are lots of people we would like to talk to. But then we had, in the last month here, in June, we had Jussara here with us in Massachusetts. And one of the talks that she gave to us talked about the spiritual side of a spiritist center. And while we were watching her lecture, we thought of, well, The Messengers, the book that we just finished, deals with the same idea. So who else would be better to talk to us about not only the messengers, but as well about this side of the book, The Messengers? So, Jussara, how can we start to talk about this? Because we all know how important it is to know the spiritual side of a spiritist center. But apparently, at the time that this book was written, nobody has ever actually thought about this before, right? Or
Andrea Lewis, the spirit Andrea Lewis, was actually fantastic in bringing to us so many new information regarding not only the spirit realm, but also when he describes the communication, the way the spirits are next to us, the way they can communicate, the way we should prepare ourselves. So when we read the book, The Messengers, and there's another one that actually talks a lot about mediumship and this interchange between incarnates and discarnates, that is the domain of mediumship, we learn so much. We understand so much from the work and the dedication of the spirits. We cannot become become that surprised when we hear about those spirits and how they really commit to the work of helping us.
Yeah, I remember when we were having a conversation here in Massachusetts about a topic similar to this one. And then you mentioned an experience that was when you first realized, and that we would need to realize the same thing. It was when you were reading the book. I don't know if it's already translated to English, the book Voltaire. It's not yet translated. Okay, so it's another book was written through the psychography of Chico Xavier by by Brother Jacob, right? I don't know if that's what they will, if when they translate it, if they will say Brother Jacob, but that's the name in Portuguese. And when he discarnated, although he was a very present worker at a Brazilian Spiritist Federation, when he died, he was very surprised with so many things. And what you told me was maybe it was because it was not very commonplace to have all these Andre Lewis's books around. So basically, we didn't know about, or maybe we knew about it, but we just didn't have the studies that Andre Lewis provides us these days, right?
Yeah, I mean, when we analyze that and thinking that in the mid to the end of the 19th century, Kardec came and brought all this unknown world to us, as explaining with such rationality and the methodology that he used to make it sure that those communications actually came from the spirit realm, all of that. I think that it took a while, and that a certain time was necessary for us first to be aware, to have a certain knowledge of who we are, to from where we came to where we will go, until we were capable of receiving more information and more knowledge about the spirit realm and even ourselves, and how the two of them can combine. And it was only, and we see clear that it was only in mid of the 20th century with Chico Xavier that actually we start receiving, especially from the spirit Andre Lewis, as you mentioned, more details of what can we find in this side of life. And when we read this book for Brother Jacob, for instance, and I remember clearly that, I mean, it was such a surprise to see that a spirit that was so dedicated to spiritism, that we had so much knowledge at his time, didn't know a lot of things. And it was when I look at the dates and I saw that there was only 2 books published. By the time he died, there was only 2 books that were published by this spirit Andre Lewis to the psychography of Chico Xavier. So it's really amazing having this opportunity, living in a time where we are capable of knowing so much and understanding so much.
Yeah, that's true. And with this knowledge, we can and we should, right, increase some of our, I wouldn't say worries, but some of our, what word can I use here? Awareness, yeah. Of what happens behind the scenes, right? So, for example, in chapter 46, the one that starts maybe earlier than 47, the one that I mentioned before, but Aniceto says that it's still an hour to start the meeting, but then there's already groups of spirits working at the Spiritist Center, right? For us to be there at the time, but the spirits are already there working before we even get to the Spiritist Center, right? So what is our responsibility, Jussara, when we are going to the Spiritist Center? What can we do to help the spirits on this sense?
Yeah, we can see clearly that the spirits, they do not improvise the work. Everything is completely programmed by the spirits. They arrive early. They prepare all the ambience so that when we incarnates arrive, we will find the best possible ambience and atmosphere, so that we can find peace, then we can find the possibilities of being helped by those spirits. But the thing is, like we see here when the spirit commenting, how hard it is to find the same kind of commitment on the part of the human beings. We normally go to places of prayer, worship. In this case, we are talking about this more directly about the Spiritist Center. completely unaware of how important it is for us to at least try to maintain a clean mind, a mind that is going to contribute for everything that is going to happen. So normally our way of behaving interferes so much with the work of the spirits. They are there, they want to help us, but we, with let's say unbalanced thoughts, or just selfish thoughts, or thoughts that have nothing to do with what we are doing there, actually compromise the whole atmosphere and therefore their possibility of assisting us. So most of the time, they have a group of spirits there that will try to be working individually with us to see if somehow they can inspire in us more, holier thoughts, or thoughts that are actually worthy of the ambience that we are, and actually that will contribute for us to receive even the assistance we are seeking for.
Yeah, that's interesting, because he even says at one point here in the chapter that for the work to really achieve some kind of progress, some of the spirits, the discarnate spirits who are at the meeting, they need to actually come to those who are sitting down. Some of them are drowsy, or some of them are just thinking about their problems outside of the spiritist center, thinking about domestic matters, and then the spirits need to come to those and maybe try to instill in them what you're just saying, so that they don't disorganize even more, right? And he mentions at one point that even the person who is talking, right, giving the message, and you just cited that sometimes he loses his train of thought, as he says here, because it gets disconcentrated because of the thoughts, right, of the environment that's been created by us, who are there supposedly to get some help, but instead of trying to help those who want to help us, we tend to do the exact opposite. And I remember that in one of the talk that I mentioned that you gave to us, that you showed us a picture, right, of a person who was sitting there, and then we see like what the mental picture of what the person is thinking, right, is the person is sitting there, but the person is actually not there. It is as if the person is not even listening to what is being said there.
Mm-hmm. It is quite unfortunate because, like we say, the person or people will, let's say, in a way, if I can express myself like that, they will make the sacrifice to go to the spiritist center. But then when they are there, they are not there. So they go through the trouble of not doing whatever they do in their daily lives, of driving, commute, taking, public transportation. Many times, most of those meetings happen during the night, so you have to go straight from your the workplace to there, sometimes even without eating. You do all of that, and then you arrive there, and you shut yourself to the knowledge, to the help the spirits are going to provide because of your thoughts, because of lack of concentration, or because of, even worse, of negative thoughts or impure thoughts that are not going to help you in this sense. So our attitude should be one, okay, I'm here, I'm going to be here most of the time, not more than an hour. So let me use this hour as much as I can to my advantage. So let me pay attention. So what we see here many times is that the speaker is trying to bring to us knowledge that we impart knowledge with us that is going to help us in our daily lives, but we completely disregard, or what the speakers are doing, and we start thinking about other things, about business, about boyfriends, about food, you name it. So it's really unfortunate, and the worst thing of all is that we all, when we are there, we can contribute for the whole environment. So everyone that is there has a responsibility in terms of how the spirits will be able to help us. So we have to be aware of that. We have to have this kind of commitment and understanding.
Yeah, that's interesting. I was remembering that on chapter 48, I think Aniceto tells Andre something about, okay, but remember, Andre, and he says more or less like this. I don't have the book right here, this part right in front of me right now, but he gives us this idea of, okay, and I want to put this to you so we can maybe think it together. He says at one point that God doesn't waste any time. I mean, he says even those that were drowsy, their energies will be used. So if there's no other way that you can go and be more aware of what you're doing, go to the Spiritist Center. However, if you really want to use the energy that's there and improve yourself, you need to put the effort, right, Jussara? Is that because what Aniceto says is we can use everybody's energies here. So don't just don't stop coming because of that, but make the effort for when you come, you give and you receive as well.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It is interesting because, as it says here in this part that you mentioned, even when we are not paying attention, not gathering what we were here together because of our own doing, and we are distracted or sleepy, in a way, the spirit still can use our energetic possibilities as human beings, because then we have this human magnetism that later on can be utilized in treatments, both for incarnates and discarnates. So in a way, it's not completely waste, like the Aniceto explains, but the thing is, we will be able to contribute to others a little bit, but we will not be able to contribute to ourselves. And the first reason people go to the Spiritist Center is actually to gather benefits for themselves. And so this is, if they do not help, they will not be able to receive that. It's in this sense that I believe Jesus told us, help yourself and heavens will help you. I mean, they can only help if we are actually show a disposition of being helped. And of course, when going to a Spiritist Center, we should always remember that.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, and I want to go back a little bit on the previous chapter, because when we're talking about, for example, being drowsy or being tired, we hear not only in, let's say, in these public meetings, but as well as in, let's say, study groups or sometimes in mediumistic groups, that people complain about not being able to concentrate, right, to focus. And Aniceto talks a little bit about this topic here as well, about concentration. And he says right in the beginning that most of us, or some of us, think about concentration as something that's exterior, right? And then we impose some some positions, or you do this or you do that. But he doesn't go that way, right? He doesn't use this outward appearance to talk about concentration, right, Jussara?
No, actually what he says is that, of course, we find a difficulty in concentrate because we don't do that in our daily lives. For instance, think about us having a conversation with a friend. Unfortunately, most of us, when having a conversation with a friend, is actually not paying attention to what the friend is saying, but it's actually thinking, what are you going to tell the friend when he stops talking, for instance. So we are not good listeners. And to be a good listener, we have to have a concentration, this exercise of concentration. So even when we are having a direct conversation with someone, we don't practice that. Can you imagine when you go to a place and then someone is reading a page or giving a talk like we have in the Spiritist Center. So it makes it very difficult for people who do not try to use that in their daily lives to use that in the Spiritist Center as well. So Aniceto tries to tell us that, listen, you have to start practicing that even in your daily lives. To focus more on what you're doing. And imagine nowadays it's so hard because there are so many devices around us that are constantly calling our attention. And so for you to focus in one thing and what's right before your eyes, it's becoming very difficult. And so can you imagine now we can see, how uneasy nowadays people feel in a Spiritist Center because they have to sit for an hour without looking at their cell phones.
Yeah, it's been terrible, and actually we were thinking about this the other day at our Spiritist Center here, and somebody said to us, imagine you're at a meeting there, and we all know that the Spiritist Center has all this protection, right? You mentioned this as well in Andre Luis and the spirits here in the messengers. They say this as well. So we have this protection around the Spiritist Center that the good spirits are there to protect. But let's say we are there, we are protected, and then we are trying, to have good thoughts or something. But then comes a blink on our phone, and then a Facebook comes up or whatever, Twitter pops up, and then instantly we are outside already because our mind is outside of the Spiritist Center, and then we break that barrier, and all of a sudden all that work that we are trying to do, then it's completely broken right at that very instant. So it is really, really hard for us, and to these days, if we don't stop to think about this outside of the Spiritist Center as well, right?
Yes, we should actually try it at least while we are there, to really turn off our phones, to put it away, and not having things distracting us. Imagine yourself if you're having a surgery, and then in the middle of the surgery, the surgeon stops to answer a phone or to send back a message, in a text message, or go to WhatsApp. I mean, we don't want that. We want the full attention. Well, and of course, when you are there gathering all this other help, assistance, benefits that perhaps may not be that visible to your eyes, but they are happening nonetheless. So you should also provide the best condition to do that, to receive this kind of assistance. And so the spirits tell us, we have to practice that in our daily lives, and start appreciating more the help of those spirits, the presence, and to really acknowledge their presence there by prayers, by attitude, showing that attitude of gratitude, and contributing as much as we can so that they can work in the best way they can.
Yeah, and like you were saying, we have to practice, right? I also remember in our last conversation that you mentioned the 10,000 hour, right, practice that we have, that we need to achieve a certain level of being really an expert in something. And we are not concentrating in things that we are doing outside of the Spiritist Center. And then we go into the Spiritist Center, and then we ask ourselves, oh, why is it so hard for me to concentrate here, right? Oh, we only try to focus on a prayer for 2 minutes, and we can even concentrate on a prayer for 2 minutes. So there is something wrong with us, with the way that we are practicing. And Aniceto says, good concentration requires a righteous life. And if we don't practice, if we don't strive to have those at least, if not 10,000 hours, at least 20 hours, right? Because it's hard even for us to imagine to have, oh, do you have 20 hours of practice of concentration? People will say that, oh, maybe not. So maybe that's why you still don't know how to concentrate on the meetings that you're going to.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very complicated, and it's very, like I said, very unfortunate that we are missing this great opportunity. And it's wonderful that Andrea Lewis brings that to our attention in his books, and especially in this one, in the chapters that we are reading. It's very powerful as well, because when you are reading, you don't perceive that the spirit, Aniceto, for instance, is condemning us, because we know that the spirits, that they have more understanding. They look at us as children. They know that we are only capable of doing up to a certain point. But they try to explain. They have to teach us. And that is the reason why they are bringing that in this book, not to condemn us or to point their fingers on how ungrateful and unprepared we are, but actually to try to teach us that we could gather much more if we actually conduct ourselves in a different way when we are in a place of worship, when we are seeking for this spiritual assistance that we seek when we go to the Spiritist Center. And so in a way, it's even beautiful, because they say we have a team of spirits here that are actually there just to give the support, just to help them, just to help the public, the people that are there, to actually be capable of raising their thoughts a little bit.
Yeah, that's it. That's true. And while you were talking, I was remembering. I was trying to look for here in the book, and I found that Andre, it's in the beginning of chapter 48 when he says, well, Aniceto, you explained me a lot of things, but I have one more question here, and what I think this is really funny about Andre. He always has questions, and maybe we should try to mimic Andre, right? Always trying to learn more, always trying to really study and go deep and deep, so that we are more aware of these things. And then he asks, Andre or Aniceto, could these spirits, instead of these discarnate spirits, instead of coming here to the Spiritist Center, couldn't they learn what they need and have a meeting at the spiritual level instead of coming here? Why do they need to come to a Spiritist Center? We already talked a little bit about this, but would you like to make a comment on this? Because I think this is a very, very interesting topic.
It is. It's actually very interesting, because one of the things that intrigues people is why the spirits need us or need mediums to help other spirits. And the truth is, they don't need us. They don't need mediums. They don't need mediumship meetings. They could do that themselves. But as they explain here, there are certain cases where spirits could benefit more with the contact with human beings, especially the vitality, the energy that we can dispense, the warmth, as he mentioned here. And in this way, the spirits feel more at ease. It feels more in an ambience that are more related to how they are feeling, is still very connected to the material plane, to the loved ones, to a material way of living. And so they bring the spirits there, because in this way they are going to benefit. It's going to be less shocking for them to receive the first introductions, let's say, to their spiritual life when they are next to us, when they are communicating through mediums. And at the same time, the mediums and everyone that is participating in the mediumship meeting, for instance, they are going to learn firsthand from the spirit what it is to actually arrive in, let's say, the other side of life, and how one can feel, especially if not prepared or if has no knowledge whatsoever that life goes on. So it's in this chapter, I think it's chapter 48, where they explain that, and the beauty of the work of, incarnates in less condition that will be helping us by enlightening us to their situation. And we, in our turn, also not with that much knowledge about the spirit realm, that have the possibility of giving our energy and at the same time help in this way the spirits to receive, let's say, the first age, to be then more at easy with their spiritual situation.
Yeah, and as you were talking, I was thinking of all the spiritist centers that we know, right? We have all different types of workers, and some people, well, I don't know that many people that say this, but I can imagine that sometimes a person looks at like a person that talks, right? Like just like you, just like me, that I'm here talking, and then they look at us and they say, "Oh, this person is helping the spiritist center a lot." But we tend, or some people tend to forget that the person that cleans the spiritist center is as important as us, as any other person that enters in the spiritist center, as any other human being that is there, because it's not because of because I am speaking, or because I am at a mediumistic meeting, but if I am there doing my work with love, cleaning the spiritist center with love, doing the food that we serve there with love, whatever I'm doing, organizing the library, selling books, whatever I'm doing, I am one of those who are actively and helping, sometimes even more than those mediums, than those who speak up front, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we don't need to be mediums to be of help. In our daily life, like even, what I mentioned before, even when you're having a conversation with a friend, just by listening to this friend, and sometimes, we have a friend that is going through a challenge, a difficulty in certain point of one's life, and come to talk to us, and we are there very impatient or not being helpful at all. So we can always help. And in terms of a spiritist center, we have to be a team, because there is so much to be done there. And not only mediums are important in a spiritist center. Actually, it's a combination of the diverse possibilities that we have. They're actually going to make the services we can offer a good service.
Yeah, I remember in one of the pictures that you also showed in your lecture that there was this huge line of spirits outside, right? And there were some spirits who could not get into the spiritist center. So I'm just changing the subject very briskly here. And they cannot sometimes enter, or most of the times enter, and we already mentioned it before, because the good spirits outside, they are able to create this protection, but as well as the us incarnated who are inside the spiritist center working with love, we can let's say increase even more this protection to create this environment of welcoming, of warmth, right, of this magnetic help for everybody that comes in, be it incarnate or discarnate.
Yes, that's absolutely true. When the spirits, they do what they can do, but and in the other parts, on the other way, I mean, it's up to us to benefit and to help and to do our part and to learn and to gather as much as we can from these few instances of having them so close to us.
Yeah, and it also helps us to be in contact with them and be helped by them more directly. And I'm saying this because and I think you mentioned this right in the beginning when we started talking, that there was the man who started talking right up front, right? And then he said, Andres tells us that he was receiving the inspiration of another good spirit there. And then I remember that story that I think is Divaldo that retells us there, that he gave one of his first lectures and he didn't know what he was going to talk about because he didn't study or something. And do you remember that story? Do you want to share and make a comparison here with this idea that Bentes was inspired, but he needed to study, right?
Yeah, I think as soon as he started giving his talks, the spirit Viana de Carvalho, which seems to be a spirit that has a lot of knowledge, was helping him. And so his first lecture was absolutely fantastic. Everyone was so surprised and amazed by the level of knowledge that he imparted to all of them. And then when it came for a time that he was going to give another talk, but knowing that the spirit was going to help him, he was not that much prepared. And so he went there and he was prepared to start, and nothing came. And he didn't know what to say. And people were looking at him, and he was looking at people, and he didn't know what to say. It was when the spirit appeared to him and said, listen, this is the only time that I'm going to help you. Not because of you, but because of them, because they do not deserve not receiving what they came for. But next time, be sure that you prepare yourselves. So it's like that. It's again, help yourself and heavens will help you. Whatever you are going to do, you have to make an effort. You have to prepare yourself. So when we go to the Spiritist Center to receive assistance, we have to be there. We have to put our mind there, and we have to be in a position that the spirits are going to be capable of helping us. Otherwise, they cannot. Be it sitting there, receiving, inspiration, receiving the treatments that we need, either by being there, being the speaker. If we do not prepare ourselves, they are not going to present the talk for us. And so, this is the way it works.
Yeah, that's true. And maybe that's why no
pain, no gain.
No pain, no gain. Good to remember. And the title of this chapter is all saying about this, where they talk about this that we are just talking, chapter 47. So hard at work.
Yeah.
Again, right? So we need to be working, and not only on the other side, not only when we are discarnated, but here as well. And that there's the law of labor, right, or the law of work that we have in the Spiritist Center, one of the divine laws that says that everything that we're making, that we're doing that is useful, is work. So it doesn't matter if it's studying or cleaning something, if it's talking or if it's listening, if it's useful, if it's for the progress, for the gain of everybody, it's work. It doesn't matter if we are resting, right? If we are resting, but this will be necessary, this is also work, right?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. There are many ways for us to work and to contribute. I mean, even if we are there and we need nothing for ourselves, but while we are there, we can be praying for others. We can, by having this understanding of what is happening that goes beyond what we can see with our physical eyes, then we can start contributing for the atmosphere, for the ambience, so the spirits can help everyone else that is there. So we always going to have a responsibility in that, and we can participate and we can help their work by conducting ourselves in a proper way.
Yeah, and at the end of the chapter, Aniceto makes another comment that's really, really goes straight to this point when he says that, Andre, please, someday Jesus will help you. And now, of course, when he says Jesus will help you, Aniceto is talking to me, right? He's not talking just to Andre, he's talking to me. So Jesus will help you understand that it is better to serve than to be served, more blessed to give than to receive. So it all goes and ties all together, right? I'll go to the Spiritist Center sometimes to work, but or sometimes to receive something, but if I start to work, I will notice that instead of giving, I started to receive, and by giving, I receive more, and it is this circle of virtue, right? That we get inside.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we are still very childish,
yeah.
Or we behave like children. So we want everything for ourselves. And so we may be adults when we are talking about our material aspect, our features, but in truth, as a spirit, we are still very immature, and so we are still in a way that we want everything for us. Everything is mine, is I, is mine. So here, a spirit that has more knowledge and understand, it starts telling us that it's not this way, the correct way for someone that is more enlightened to behave. So it's when we start learning that in giving is when we receive, is when we are actually going to feel better about ourselves.
Yeah, I remember talking to last month as well. We're talking to Fred Gouveia from New York as well, and Isabella here in Massachusetts, and they do this beautiful work together with a group of people called Caravan of Love, and then they visit some places where old people are. They go, I think, to the veterans place, and then they sing. They bring the guitar, and then they come to sing and to bring happiness to people. And Isabella said to us in that conversation, sometimes we think that we're going there to give something, and then through that giving, or even if we think that we are giving, we are receiving so much. We get out of there so much lighter, as if we received so much from them, from the spirits who are there. So it is so I don't know, so blissful for us to be able to understand this and to engage in these types of works, be it inside a Spiritist Center, be it outside a Spiritist Center, doing whatever we can to help the world to become a better place.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. Everyone that is engaged in the philanthropy, in any kind of work, charitable work, they say the same thing. How much fulfilled they feel after they were able to serve, to do something. And it couldn't be different, because the spirits have been telling us, and from spiritism, when we think that the most important thing that we have in spiritism, like Kardec says, is without charity there is no salvation. So it makes it the most important point for us in terms of practicing spiritism and of actually improving ourselves.
Yeah. So, Jussara, we're getting to the end of our conversation here. Time goes fast. I just looked at the clock here. We've been talking, and it looked like we just started talking. But so I would like to ask from you, from your experience, right? From traveling around the world, from studying Spiritism for such a long time. What else you didn't say tonight about this topic that maybe you wanna highlight, or something from the book or from these two chapters that you wanted to highlight for me, for all the listeners of Kardec Radio?
I think that the only thing that perhaps that I would add is for us to realize what a blessing it is to be capable of going to a place where we can be sure we are going to meet and be the attention, receive the attention of spirits of such a high level of involvement. It is a privilege. It is actually something that we are not going to encounter in our daily lives in any other place. Unless, of course, we are committing ourselves to do good. And as we know how hard it is for us to do that 24/7. So when we have those few hours that we dedicate to go to a place where we are going to pray, where we are going to be collecting ourselves and knowing that we have complete access to this level of spirits and not making a good use of it is a pity. And so let us, next time that we have this opportunity, remember that. Go there and feel the embrace of those loving spirits. Collect yourselves, quiet your minds, and try together to receive, to perceive the love that they are giving to us and how they are actually talking to us in the spirits. And then we are going to leave feeling so much more energy and the desire to keep in the right track. So that's what I would like us to remember.
Yeah, so let's keep that in mind. Let's focus. Let's learn how to concentrate better. Let's concentrate in things outside of the Spiritist Center, on good things outside of the Spiritist Center. And when we get there, we will notice even more, and we will be working together with these good spirits that Jussara just mentioned. So, Jussara, thank you. There's no other words that we could say, just to show our gratitude for all the work that you've been doing to spread the word, to spread Spiritism, not only in English, but in any language that you can speak of. I know that you travel. I know that you speak in, wherever people call you, you are always there to help us understand better what Spiritism is and can be to us. So thank you for being here tonight with us.
And thank you so much for the opportunity and for the wonderful work that you and Francisca are doing. It requires a lot of commitment and a lot of love for others. So I really applaud your efforts, and I thank you for inviting me to be a small part of it.
Thank you, Francisca. Thank you for being there for us as well. I know you're not here tonight with us, but you're here in spirit, the program. Thank you all the listeners for being here with us, being here for us. Please send us your comments, send us your messages. We are here to listen, to improve not only this show, but to improve ourselves, to improve the world. Once again, thank you all. Thank you, Jussara. See you all next week.
Thank you for listening to Kardec Radio, broadcasting live every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Email us and share your comments at www.kardecradio.com. Until next time, we wish you many blessings.